This is Jeff Mucci from RCR Wireless News. We're in Palo Alto today meeting with Tony DeRuvo, who is the founder and chief strategy officer for Gogobeans. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Well, thank you, Jeff. Good morning to you.
Gogobeans, great name. What does it mean?
Yeah, it's a fun name, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a platform around connected services. There's an emerging space that a lot of the leaders, the industry leaders, the giants, Apple, Nokia, Vodafone, these are all thought leaders in the industry, have rolled out these new services called connected services. Mm-hmm. Nokia, for example, has something called OVI.
Right.
Apple with the Mobile Me and Vodafone with 360.
Sure.
So the idea there is to engage with their customers in a more personal way. In other words, touch them on their personal digital life. So traditionally, all these companies, especially in the carrier space, have, I won't say the word own, but they've been responsible for voice communications for the subscribers. And moving forward, as data becomes more important and the people's digital life starts to grow more than ever, it's not just emails. Sure. It used to be just emails, but now it's so much more. It's data, it's connectivity, it's social networking, et cetera. So these companies are attempting to really lock in their customers in a more personal way by really being engaged in their digital lives.
Right.
And so Gogobeans is built around, the platform is built around the Beans concept. Beans is an acronym for Business-Enabled Authenticating Network Services, where we have innovative technology around really keeping people's digital lives private and secure.
Okay.
So we add layers to the existing paradigms of who can view your digital assets. And so with the advent of cloud and the popularity of cloud computing, we believe that this is going to be an important technology, and it's going to offer end users a comfort level. Right now, with services like Facebook, great service for socializing, et cetera, but a lot of people are starting to figure out that, wait a minute, a lot of my stuff is now public, and they have to kind of retrace and backtrack and try to make it private again. So our platform is based around this authenticating paradigm, where everything's private, and then the user that owns their digital data gets a chance to really open it up to friends, family, colleagues, et cetera, in a much more granular way.
You use the term bounce, bounce my data, or bounce your data between people. What does that mean? So
bounce is the concept around bounce. A lot of technologies today, when you want to share things or collaborate, essentially you're clicking on a button that says share.
Right.
We've come up with this idea of bouncing, and so if we're going to talk about beans and your digital assets becoming beans,
right? Well,
wouldn't it be cool if we could find a new word of sharing those digital assets? And so we use the word bounce. Typically, if you're on a phone, someone will tell us, in our beta users will use this all the time. They say, "Hey, bounce me that file."
Sure.
So if we're working on it, we're collaborating on a folder full of files, and it'll be, okay, can I bounce that file to one of our colleagues?
Sure. That's a great term. I love it.
Thanks. Yeah, give it to our marketing department. I guess they earn their money.
So who are you selling to? You mentioned tier 2 and tier 1 carriers.
So our sweet spot right now, and we are a startup. Our sweet spot is really the lower tier 1 carriers that need the ability to compete with Nokia and OVI, which are now encroaching on their customers, both from a mind share and also from a business perspective. Or they need to compete in markets that Vodafone is in. So the lower tier 1s and the tier 2s, for instance, that don't have the wherewithal and the capital to build these type of services, they're quite involved services. It's not as trivial as it sounds. And so we offer that to our customers, our carrier customers. It's a completely OpEx model, so they really don't have to go through the capital expenditure. Now, as a point of reference, we've done a lot of research. Nokia OVI has spent over $1 billion in acquisition costs to put all these different properties together and call it OVI. So that's well outside the reach of most carriers in terms of building it out. So our customers are typically tier 2s, lower tier 1s that don't want to get involved in setting up their own service and want to kind of leverage what's been done on the Web 2.0 space, which is where we come from. That's basically where we see the bulk of our business, and of course there's OEMs in the OEM space that are not the Nokias. They're somewhere in the lower top tiers.
Right.
Same idea. Why build it when you can just brand it with Gogobeans and do a white label solution?
Does this replace the App Store, compete with the App Store, or complement a carrier's app store?
For sure it complements. And so we're well beyond, app stores is the craze now. So Apple has done a great job they've kind of set the standard for the industry. And just recently we saw reports that a lot of carriers are coagulating together to come up with something to compete with the app stores. And so we're not an app store. Our applications are run strictly on the cloud. So we're kind of like the next generation of apps. So our platform is built as a software as a service. And so we can roll out cloud-based applications. So that complements what's existing on what you can download on the phone. So we don't touch that. Further to that, we turn existing app stores into all their games and all their apps into beans. And then once again, what we add to that is that now if Tony buys an app on an app store, all my friends get to see the app I bought, right? Because we have the social networking portion of it. And so it really adds to the discovery of existing app stores. And so if Tony bought an app store and you and I are connected on Gogobeans in some way, you'll get to see that because it was a public purchase. You say, oh, Tony just bought the golf game for his Nokia.
Sure.
That'd be fun. Let me click on it. So those are beans, right? We wrap it up and then we bounce it around.
So when was the company founded?
Company was founded about 2.5 years ago.
And how are you funding operations today?
So we've had seed round. So the seed round was responsible for building the technology, and then we've been basically all the principals have been bootstrapping the company completely.
That's great.
So we're basically extremely lean and mean. Nobody's taking a salary, and we're all working really hard because we believe in this. We think that Gogobeans and these type of services will be not just the future financially for our shareholders, but we also truly believe that it is the next generation. We're out there to really help people get control of their digital life.
That's great. And what were you doing before you founded Gogobeans?
So I've always been in the mobile space, and so my career spanned. I was responsible for rolling out some engineering services on GSM networks here in the U.S. and Canada. But lately I was at America Online Mobile. I was a director of one of their flagship product lines, which was the T9 Predictive Text.
Interesting.
So T9 Predictive Text, as you know, is one of the most. I think it's in the Guinness Book of Records as one of the most used software in the world.
Do you have an engineering background, a marketing background, product background? What's your background?
So my background, education-wise, is engineering and business.
Interesting.
So I've done both. My early career has been strictly engineering, and then I've transitioned over to product and marketing.
What can we expect from Gogobeans in 2010?
Some big things. So you can expect we will sign up some carriers. We are a global company, and so we have a presence already in Australia and Asia. We got some really strong folks building out the teams in those regions, and so I expect one or two real good, solid customers.
That's great. Tony, thanks for joining us this morning.
Well, thank you, Jeff. Appreciate it.
Thank you.